They could try, but if I put a hex on them, everyone will know it because it'll. Yeah, never mind. We're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're not.
I almost said something just now. Never mind. I don't lose my train of thought that time. But yeah, so Jimbo Fisher, SEC Media Day, Texas A&M head coach, said he didn't do anything wrong at Florida State, even though he left the program in shambles. There's an article that is referenced in our rundown where it's on Bleacher Report, and it talks about how he let Jameis Winston do whatever he wanted. He coddled him. Pretty much his motto was to the assistant coaches was to, I don't care how you do it, but just make sure all the players are eligible no matter what you do. Left the team, the university, the football team in shambles. They've been bad ever since. And Willie Taggart is doing everything he can to just rewrite the ship. And that's why he's being given so much leeway, because it was a nightmare situation. You got to read that article on Florida State and Jimbo Fisher. The last days of Jimbo Fisher on Bleacher Report. And also Florida State after the fact, what they're doing with Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart has a proven track record everywhere he's been of being successful and raising the graduation rates. So good luck to him. And I think he's the first black head coach in Florida State history. So I'm rooting for him. There you go. Big 12 Media Day. The Hook'em Horns signal that anyone outside of Texas can't stand. That was turned into the pretty much you put the horns down. The horns down gesture is pretty much going to be seen, and it's going to be penalized according to Big 12 officials at their Big 12 Media Day they had this past week. It will now be a penalty to do the horns down. My take is I just hope they keep that same energy, and anytime Texas scores and they put the horns up, they throw a flag. You should. Like, if I can't do the horns down, you shouldn't be able to do the horns up. No hand gestures. How about that? Let's just take that out. Let's just take that away.
I mean,
because you're being petty and childish over a hand gesture.
I'll be honest. That you just said it for me. Yeah, that just seems like it's going a bit too far. I'll put delicately.
A little draconian.
Like, not to harken back to those 3 horrible movies that should never be mentioned, the Star Wars prequels.
I was going to say 3 horrible people we work with, but never mind.
No.
It was more than 3.
So, this is about to get really nerdy for the next few seconds. I apologize. But during the whole pod racing thing in the first film, there's, I don't know if it's like a whole subset of aliens that are doing it, or it's just one guy that they keep showing who does it. But he does this weird, while everyone's applauding, he does this thing where he kind of sticks his arms out and he's kind of moving his arms back and forth he's got these weird prosthetics on his hands.
I think I've seen that.
He's kind of doing this, and he's got a weird face, so he's kind of like, and, I don't know if he's booing or applauding or what it is.
Stroke?
The
rictus? I don't know.
But he's allowed to do it. And even if he's showing satisfaction or dissatisfaction, he's allowed to do it. Yes, it's in a galaxy far, far away, whereas this, you can actually be penalized for, what is it, this?
Yeah, so like the Hook'em Horns, now just put them down like that.
Right, I mean, that's
a penalty.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Texas is real.
Think of it as the evolution of what they did in Rome, where you could either do the thumbs up or the thumbs down.
Yep.
I guess it's just a matter of we're not the captain now.
Texas is feeling themselves since they had that 10-win season this year and beat Georgia in a meaningless bowl game. But hey, shout out to Georgia, because I'm never saying shout out to Texas ever. Also during SEC Media Day this week, Alabama just came out and proved how salty they were by getting their doors blown off in their face and their back kicked in by Clemson. When linebacker Dylan Moses said, the toughest team we played all year was Georgia. We just kind of had some mental breakdowns against Clemson. And I'm like, no, they beat your ass on the field. They soundly beat you on the field. But whatever.
Well, don't forget Georgia's had some controversy this year with reproductive health. FYI.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna. That's. Yeah.
Not making my opinion known, but just saying.
No, it's just funny because like if Pete was here, I would be saying what you just said.
Okay,
right now.
Netflix and Disney have made some decisions, so yeah.
Netflix and chill in this area is just kind of. Never mind. I'll leave that joke to myself. Just leave that joke to myself. Never mind. I'm just gonna say one word, Bambi. But anyway, James Conner. Oh, wait, no. I forgot to finish the Clemson thing. So, a Clemson safety came out and said on Twitter the toughest team we played all year was Texas A&M, who got beaten by Alabama. And it's like, why would you say that the toughest team you played all year was the team that beat you soundly and incredibly on national television, the national title game, with all your first-round picks and gaudy receivers and amazing quarterback, and you got beat by a freshman? Like, just say it. Like, you lost. And you got beat very badly. Like, what else is there to say? I think that was really lame for Alabama to do. I think they're sore losers. Nick Saban's proven time and time again he's kind of a sore loser. But, hey, it is what it is. Got anything?
Not really.
Cool. All right, so James Conner came out and said in an interview recently that a doctor told him he had a week to live after his cancer diagnosis in 2015. He beat cancer, but a doctor said he, like, literally told him, like, you have a week to live if you don't get this treated. He was still recovering from a torn MCL, and he had tumors all around his heart. So they had to essentially do it because it was Hodgkin's lymphoma. So they had to get. He said it was tough telling, like, his little brothers, his friends. The hardest part was telling people he cared about and he knew. It's like, yeah, so I have cancer and I have tumors all around my heart. Like, that's rough. That would be insanely rough to tell your family members and loved ones. But kudos to him for beating it, rehabbing, and having almost 1,000 yards as a rookie for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 16 total touchdowns, I think, as a rookie. Or 13. He had 12 rushing. I forget how many receiving, but shout out to James Conner. Now, that's over. We have one more. So Russell Wilson is teaching future son how to play football. And a lot of people are coming down on it because a lot of people are coming down, including me, including Pete, about future, Russ, and Russ being the stepdad that is taking care of his kid, even though Sierra may or may not be letting him see his kid. I don't know. It's a lot going on. I don't have time to judge. But is it a touchdown to turnover? Russell Wilson teaching future son how to play football. I'm going to say a touchdown. That's not that bad. It's a turnover. You should be teaching him how to play baseball, Russ. Didn't you play baseball, Russ? I know you, like, football turned out way better, but you should be teaching future son how to play baseball and soccer. More money, less wear and tear on your body. Come on.
I mean, we all remember Space Jam.
That was such a random reference, but it worked, so yes.
Oh, it's been in the news. Space Jam 2. Got Don Cheadle.
What? Don Cheadle's in Space Jam 2?
Yeah.
Fam, is that a touchdown or a turnover? I don't know, man. That's going to be crazy.
I think they also lost their director, like in the last week.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Also, Cordell Patterson, former Raiders receiver, first-round pick for the Minnesota Vikings, was a special teams All-Pro at one point with the Vikings. Won the Super Bowl with the New England Patriots. Pretty much said that Super Bowl don't mean shit to him. Touchdown to turnover. I can see why. I'm going to say a touchdown. I can see why, because it's like he wasn't really a role player as much as he probably wanted to on the team. Probably just wanted to play football. The Super Bowl is just icing on the cake. Is what it is. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll skip these last two. You know what? I think it's time to just get to the rants. So,
well, actually, before we get to that, would it be all right to
Judgment Low Politics?
Just dip into it just briefly, just because.
Dip your toe into it. I was going to let you just go on a full-on political rant.
Well, I interrupt you. I wanted to get some of your take on this as well. That was why we had that one episode where I had mentioned about opening the floor, and instead it turned more into just me talking, which is the opposite of opening the floor.
That's because we let you talk, because you're in your politics bag. We don't want to interrupt you. So, I'll interrupt you while you're saying die line, like when you're speaking your hottest verses. I'm not just going to jump in just to say my little ad lib.
I try not to do that. But at the same time, if I got a zinger, like, I'm not going to lose
and
it.
this goes back to journalism and minors and poli-sci being your minor, so go for it.
Pretty much.
I'm going to let you know, just go on a full rant. Go for it.
Well, like I said, I want to get your take on this as well. It's not going to, this won't be the, oh, believe me, I've got my PSA.
There we go.
But, so it looks like CNN did their draw this evening in terms of tonight, or not tonight, the debates coming up in a few weeks. And they're going to have, okay.
Just go on a full political rant. I got to go check something real quick.
Gotcha. So, looks like in a few weeks' time, you're going to have the two upcoming Democratic debates, which, as we all can probably remember from the last couple that we had, first night was a little bit iffy, and then the second night you had, as I had called it at the time, some actual fireworks. In terms of these upcoming debates, you have the opportunity for possibly more fireworks, or at least prepared fireworks, because CNN did a live drawing of all 20 candidates, and that's not including one previous debate one previous debate contender, Eric Swalwell, who dropped out. Now you have, I believe it's Steve Bullock, who's going to be filling in that spot. But this time around, you're going to have two more debates of 10 people, one of which is going to have two of the top contenders, and the other one is going to have the other two top contenders, one of which involving probably the two most progressive candidates, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. I know some people in my neck of the woods who are ardent Bernie supporters have complained that Warren has kind of taken away some of Bernie's votes, hence why he's not higher than they think he would be up against Biden with this many people. And then the other debate is going to be a rematch between Biden and Harris, in which Kamala Harris basically ripped into him and said, look, you said it was okay to work with segregationists. These are guys that wouldn't even let me do my job as a senator. And it took Biden several days, I think over 2 weeks, to actually apologize for that, which I know in this day and age there's this idea that you can't apologize anymore in politics. I know that's frequently talked about. However, you know, I made the point back then that when Biden refers to these men as, oh, they're not racists, what else would you call a segregationist? I that just baffles me to no end. As somebody who has tried very, very hard to understand history, I do find that very troubling. So, it'll be interesting. I don't know, to get to see this next round of debates. I do believe Andrew Yang is also going to be a part of that cabal that's going to be with Harris and Biden, so it certainly should be entertaining to see nonetheless. I'm definitely curious to know what is going to be different this time around. It did seem like everyone was just trying to say, look at me, I'm not Donald Trump. But there's only so many times you can say that. And I think this time around, there needs to be a little bit more clarity. There needs to be a little bit more policy. And just going through the greatest hits from candidate to candidate, I don't think is going to fully cut it with voters. I think you do have a lot of voters that really do want to see some kind of change. But at the same time, you have a lot of voters that are going based off of like name recognition, which is why you have this funny sort of disparity where Biden's the front runner, and yet you frequently see polls where the majority of Democrats want to see a new, fresh face. Well, Biden's been involved in politics dating back to, I believe, the late 70s. So